Uh, do I exist? Did I hit the buttons right? I do. I do exist. Hey everybody. Welcome back to the Daily Peak. Um I am finishing up some writing. I'm gonna keep working on that for a couple minutes. I'm figuring out the description of the detect cantrip. Or the Dungeoneering campaign. Not like detect magic or anything, just detect. It gives you an idea of the like shape of the terrain in your immediate vicinity. Hold on, Windows is telling me to update things. Remind me later. Okay. So I've got you sit at a pulse that registers the presence of objects in your immediate area, returning a simplified outline of the shape of nearby terrain. And that's it. Like, I feel the need to specify more here. Oh, I should probably specify that it doesn't detect most things. This outline includes features like walls, open pits, stairways. Doors, etc. Cannot detect anything more specific, such as traps, secret doors, individual items, creatures, just period. Um, Secret doors, individual items, creatures. Anything else not immediately obvious? Or anything else not? Uh, Magical effects. Uh, Anything more specific? or hidden, such as traps, secret doors, individual items, creatures, magical effects, etc. I can throw in materials there as well. God's least useful cantrip. I want to add a block quote or something in here. Just making a joke about how it seems so useless. Useless? Why would you say such a thing? Why would you say such a thing? This cantrip gains basic perception to things which don't otherwise have it. The foundation upon which more specific detection spells are based. You're not calling the spell useless when it's keeping your constructs from running into walls. I like this conceptual, just like the necessity of having a shit tier cantrip like detect, which is a free action to use and just kind of tells you where the walls are in the nearby areas. It's like, what? No, this isn't useful for adventuring. Why would it be? What? This isn't made for you to excel in combat. This is made so you don't walk into a wall. And it's like, I can legitimately think of some uses for this. But like ultimately it is mostly just to make sure that it's to provide the basic spell upon which the Dungeoneer's Atlas is based. Uh so you've got like a wide reaching emanation that just returns the simple features of the nearby area, and the job of the Dungeoneer's Atlas is to um the job of the Dungeoneer's Atlas is to depict what it has detected with this incredibly simple cantrip. Um and use that information to like allow you to elaborate on it using the atlas. So you save the information that you find with the detect cantrip to give you like the battle map of the nearby area. But it's just like make thing cast detect. If it detects there is a wall in the nearby area, don't run into the wall. It's just, it's the most basic sensor you can make. And it's also totally useless to most adventurers. Because it's like, no, this is for the people making constructs and magic items and shit. It's not for you. But I get to put it in the description of the Dungeoneer's Atlas as a little Easter egg. Because people would imagine it's like, oh, it allows the user to see a simplified version of the area and their immediate surroundings via the use of the detect cantrip. Is that supposed to say detect magic? You open up the thing. No. 360-foot emanation. Detects walls. Heart emoji. I'm hanging out with my world's shittiest cantrip, which is actually incredibly useful because it's the in-canon reason for why every encounter has a battle map. It's like, what do you mean? No, this is not the live play-by-play happening. You can see the bits of the world that you understand. Like that is all of the stuff within your perception. And then there is also the stuff outside of your perception, which is like in the dark or whatever. But you have a sense of it, of like where the walls are, because the fucking magic book gives you a 300-foot perception of where walls are nearby, so you can figure out how the like maze like passages here are constructed and get through that maze just a little faster, you know. I'm just a massive fan of seemingly useless items. It's like, yeah, no, it's an atlas which depicts only your immediate surroundings. You could also use it to save that information and construct larger maps. I'm awake. Very awake. I slept better last night than I have for the last couple. Um, discovered that one of the fans in my computer is making a weird noise. Um, which sounds a little bit like the tornado sirens. So I might be. It might have. It. I think it started doing that recently, and my brain's been picking up on it, and panicking about it because it doesn't know what it's from. But it sounds a little bit like, yeah. I am awake and alive, and I am doing great. Not sleepy at all. Oh, my drink. My drink. I was forgetting something. Okay. Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to today's Daily Peak. Um, I'm Soul. I'm booting up the game in the background. Uh, and I. Bleh. I'm still half asleep. I ain't gonna lie. Um, today is Thursday. I'm gonna go ahead and take my meds. I will be taking them with a Lost and Found Energy Strawberry Pop flavor. Hell yeah. Um, yeah. 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 So I'm gonna go ahead and take my meds. If you guys have meds to take, I recommend you do so as well. Blech. Did I ever? I did not share the link to my stream with anyone. I'm very prepared today. Bleh. 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 I'm very normal. Okay. Play offline. Oh shit, I've got yogurt here. Oh, that fucks. How long has that been there? Not too long, it is still cold. I say that, it's also very cold in this room. So. I don't really know, I guess. Probably fine. Little yogurt never hurt anyone anyway. Well, fuck. Okay, that's weirdly easy to do. Wait. Hell yeah. Yeah, I can feel my fingers are kind of freezing up. It's cold in here. Yogurt. Hi. I got distracted. Can you tell me I'm so broken hearted, all apart? Blech. I need like mittens or some shit. It's chilly. Cold in my room. I could probably turn down the fan, huh? I should get some noise canceling headphones, I think. My family and my therapist have both said that they have been like life-changing levels of good for like getting focused or whatever. And I'm like, okay, well, if both of them recommend it. If only one or the other recommends it, you can't be sure, but if both of them do. This is too many checkpoint flags. Now, it's not particularly likely that I fall on the shore, but like this is the third checkpoint flag I've gotten. like, better safe than sorry, I guess. What the fuck is happening? Hold on. Gonna have more yogurt. Okay, I guess this is the infinite checkpoint flag run. Yeah, I like, I like being able to go through and make my strange home brews. Like, for instance, the detect cantrip. Which you might be able to more accurately just call perceive, but... like, detection cantrips are like a, not just cantrips, detection spells are a class of spell in Pathfinder. Feels apt to borrow the name. Blech. Man. I'm just remembering that one picture of a cat with an apple. And it's just captioned, "Girl, you're an obligate carnivore." And someone else is like, "Her ball." Still wild that there are people out there who think the default state of nature is like everything is vegan. Like what? Is that some wild, like, I don't know, like original sin shit? Where it's like, no, the cruelty of humans rubbed off on all animal life. And it's like, what? What are you talking about? Just fucking... Lions only eat meat because they're modeling what we've taught them to do. It's like, that is just as stupid as that one zoo that accused tourists of turning their lions gay. It's like, motherfucker, I don't think there were any queers turning up to your zoo being so bold as to have gay sex in front of the lion den. And then your lions were just like, man, that looks cool as hell. Like, what? No, it is as ridiculous as the all animals are vegan thing. It's like, no, we did not inflict our original sin of existing on the world. I don't know why so many people like to think that humans are a blight on the earth. We did also come from here. Like, I get it. I'm not a huge fan of climate change either. But, like, we're from here. Like... Animals can be bad for their local ecosystems. You know that, right? Like, it's not just humans. We're the most notable invasive species, but, like, we're not the only ones who borked it, you know? Like, cats? Cats are fucking monsters, man. Damn. I really didn't think I would need to use that. I was almost hoping that I wouldn't have to use that. But, nope. No. Just, that's where I'm at. Apparently. Bleh. The cat girl's got it, got it. I'm vibing. I'm still also thinking, hey Max, how's it going? I'm doing fine. I am still thinking about Pathfinder. Because I have been getting more work done on the Dungeoneers of Croya system and setting. Which is kind of just an add-on, basically, for Pathfinder. For playing in Mega Dungeons. And I'm dwelling on, the most useful cantrip ever made. Detect. Not like detect magic or anything, just detect. I posted a picture on the, like, private prospectors Discord. It's a modified version of detect magic, which does not detect magic. Still at school, but you have been hardly focusing? Oh, hell yeah. I love a leopard. And fair, I get that. Vibes-wise, some days your brain just ain't gonna be compatible with it. That ain't anyone's fault. You know, as long as everyone involved is doing their best. Hey, Jake. Yeah, no, I still think I've made the most powerful homebrew for Pathfinder 2e ever. For those who are not getting the joke, let me open up my custom cantrip. Cantrip, detect, free action, cantrip, level 1. It is a common rarity, and it has the traits cantrip, concentrate, detection, and manipulate. It's available to all magical traditions, and its area is a 360-foot emanation. Its effect is that it sends out a pulse that registers the presence of objects in your immediate area. This outline includes features like walls, open pits, stairways, doors, or other immediately obvious information, but cannot detect anything more specific or hidden. It specifically says traps, secret doors, individual items, creatures, magical effects, or the materials that a wall is made out of. You don't get to know that. It just tells you where the walls are in your immediate vicinity. It's my new favorite cantrip. And that's kind of unironically my new favorite cantrip. Which I say because, I created this little homebrew cantrip, because, the Dungeoneer's Atlas uses it to function. And the Dungeoneer's Atlas, detects... It casts Detect, and then it shows in the Atlas the nearby area that it detected. And it continues adding on to the map that it's been drawing. It is just an in-canon automatic mapping thing. And like in a campaign about exploring country-sized dungeons, good to have a map that self-updates. Including with things like, oh, I know what is on, like, the other side of that hallway. There is a room down there, you know? What's in the room? I don't know. That's not a thing that the Atlas tells you. It gives you the layout. Hey, Digi. I'm talking about my incredibly overpowered homebrew. The Detect cantrip. It tells you where the walls are. I am not joking about having made that homebrew or the fact that it is potentially very powerful. You just gotta use it in conjunction with a bunch of other shit. But it's just, it is a cantrip which says, send any pulse that registers the presence of objects in your immediate area, returning a simplified shape of the nearby terrain. This includes walls, open pits, stairways, doors, or any other immediately obvious information, but cannot detect anything more specific or hidden, such as traps, creatures, like individual objects, even. Like, it can't distinguish, like, a wall. It just will fail to detect anything that is less obvious than a wall. It doesn't know where secret doors are. It doesn't know where mechanisms are. Well, the in-canon function of the detect cantrip is, it was created for use with a magic item known as the Dungeoneer's Atlas. It is an empty spell that is like, hey, where's the walls? Where is the nearest big object that I could conceivably run into? So it's like, yeah, it could detect a large pile of things. It wouldn't be able to tell you that it's a large pile of things. But it would be like, yeah, that's basically a wall. And it would tell you it's there. But, like, the in-canon function is, yeah, no, the Dungeoneer's Atlas allows you... It is a book that casts the detect cantrip, and then it writes down what it sees using the detect cantrip on a very big map. So you walk around casting this free action cantrip, and as you explore, it makes a very accurate map for you, as opposed to you having to figure out the dimensions yourself. Wait. Let me up, let me up, let me up, let me up. God damn it. Okay. This is going badly. Exactly. The purpose of the detect cantrip is to be like, alright, that's where the walls is. Like, the little bit of flavor text I have at the top of the cantrip is useless? Why would you say that? It grants basic perception to things that don't have it. It's the foundation upon which all detection spells are based. You're not calling this spell useless when it's keeping your constructs from running into walls. It's one of those, like, just because it doesn't kill anything doesn't mean it's useless. But yeah, like, its function is to provide a really simplified map of your immediate area. And then the Dungeoneer's Atlas takes that map and it makes it into a physical map. And it keeps adding on to it as time goes on until you have a very, like, detailed map of an area. And, like, all you did was more than likely physically run through it. Because you were being chased by something, more than likely. but you didn't have to retain that information. You didn't have to spend the like mental effort to map out the place in your head while you were doing the thing. And you can look back on it later and be like, oh hey, we missed a room here. Because there's a little door icon here, and we didn't go to the other side of it. And the idea is this is the like in-canon explanation for why every encounter has a battle map. Where it's like, no, yeah, you know the very basic information about your surroundings. And like when your character gets close enough to look at things, more information is revealed. But in the meantime, this is where the walls are. Yeah, it makes you draw your own map using in-game tools, but you then need to explore it yourself and suffer. It actually does sound really cool. Oh, it is in the current Humble Choice? Damn. Welp. Anyway. Time to reset. But like, yeah. Good peeking. The shore is winning. Yeah. Alright, have a good one, Max. Wow. See ya. Yeah, the Dungeoneer's Atlas also can tell you where traps are, if you write down where the traps are. And that means that you don't forget where the traps are. And that can be very important both for you, the person that has to walk back through this area later to get out, but also... Oh, hell yeah. Yeah, remembering where the traps are is nice. All you have to do is make a little note on the map. You can just circle it and be like, trap here. And one of the, like, in-canon things that happens is Dungeoneers will go back over their maps, and, like, share information with each other. And you can just copy their maps. Your atlas will sync up with theirs if you do, like, a little thing. It's like, yeah, no, there's traps. There's traps here. Yeah. Like, basically, that's the vibe. So it's like, yeah, no, you go to town, you have, like, a rough idea of the general shape of the environment from like publicly available maps. But you don't have like individual passages. But you meet a guy who was just going through there. You pay him like 10 gold, and he's like, yeah, sure, you can copy down where all the traps are. Exactly. Is good shit. But yeah, I'm making the puzzle box dungeon as the first dungeon that I am like sitting down and working on proper. And one of the notable things that comes from the exploration of this dungeon is a ton of navigational tools, because the puzzle box is one incredibly long maze. The entire thing is one very large maze. Sadly, you cannot spin it like a Rubik's Cube. But yeah, no, a single maze, hundreds of like cubic kilometers in size, because you gotta remember this is all underground and it does not limit itself to just the two-dimensional plane. This is the single most annoying to explore structure in the world. I have a medkit already. I should be fine. Yeah, like the whole dungeon has a mechanic unique to the dungeon where it's just like you get lost in the goddamn maze because it's a very big maze. It's like the crit fail result on all exploration actions instead of like whatever it normally is. You can instead choose to be returned to the previous like point of interest you were at, with absolutely no idea as to how you got turned around, and none of the benefits of the exploration action you were taking. It's just like, yeah, no, we were foraging, and then we kind of just like got tripped up in there somewhere and lost track of where we were on the map, and now we're back here. Turning up like, when do we get to France? Like that level of shit. I love the puzzle box so much. It's so annoying. And I have designed it to be annoying. Yeah, outside of being one very large, like, three-dimensional maze, the puzzle box is also... Its, like, major sections are 3 floors. The top floor is very mossy and mostly contains beasts. The second floor is a giant, like, catacombs, basically. With monuments and memorials for a war which never occurred. But scholars are still studying regardless, because all of the information is here, and it's kind of fascinating to piece together like what this strange world that this dungeon seems to be from is like. And you can get some useful information out of, going through the sociology of all of it. Damn. And then the third floor is, it is implied that it used to be catacombs, but it has been warped beyond recognition by the influence of the plane of shadow. And the third floor is also where the dungeon's boss monster resides. So, this boss monster is basically a shadow elemental. And it is... The puzzle box is one of the oldest dungeons in the world. It doesn't grow, not really. So, like, the Dungeoneering Society has labeled it like, it's probably not a threat. Like, it's probably fine. It doesn't grow. It's too maze-like for most of the monsters inside to escape and cause a problem for the nearby area. So it's not like a high-priority dungeon. And one of the notable facts is on this, like, lowest level, the dungeon boss, like, lives down there. And it is a creature which is smart enough to know that if information about it gets out, other creatures will learn more and more. And even if it kills these adventurers, they can still come back sometimes. So this is like one of few dungeon bosses who are known for destroying the corpses of adventurers that come across it. Because it's like, okay, well, sometimes they come back, and they don't seem to come back nearly as often when I do this. So it is known for destroying resurrection items and corpses. But the dungeon boss is not overtly hostile, much in the same way that the dungeon itself doesn't seem to be growing. The dungeon boss cares more about going unseen than it does about killing off adventurers. So there is like a long history of effectively, if you try to confront this thing, it will kill you so hard you can't come back. But you can usually play dead and it will ignore you. Or, like, just pretend not to have seen it. Like, if it's too late for you to play dead, you can pretend you didn't see it, and most of the time it ignores you. Because it cares a lot more about being secretive than it does about being hostile. I beefed it. Yeah, and the like in-lore explanation for this is that the spirit which was converted into the boss of this dungeon was like a kind of shadow creature of like darkness and obscurity and all of that. And the dungeon master who created the dungeon... Ooh, look, a piece of candy in the opposite direction. Yeah, basically. But yeah, the dungeon master who created this dungeon bound this spirit to the dungeon by giving this spirit of obscurity a white porcelain mask, which starkly stands out in the darkness that it is so accustomed to. And this creature is so distressed at having had like an identity and a physicality forced onto it that it attempts to kill anything that sees it. But otherwise, it is content to just wallow in its own despair for the rest of eternity, without much interest in growing the dungeon at all. Fucking right. But yeah, that's the, like, in-canon explanation for its weird behaviors. And why there is an oldest dungeon in the world, which has not been conquered yet. It is a dungeon which does not seek to grow, unlike most others, and which is ruled by a creature that does not wish to be perceived and limits the amount of information that can get out about it. So it's like, yeah, no, it's not a high priority. It's not like a high priority target. And while the boss in there is exceedingly violent, and known for like perma-killing adventurers, it doesn't do so frequently. Like, it is explicitly non-hostile. So it is a dungeon that, like, most of the world is pretty okay with existing, because it's just not a problem. It's like, just don't go to the 3rd floor. It's fine. All you need to do to maintain it is, like, keep a couple guys outside of it, and they can make sure that, you know, the few monsters that do manage to get out don't get much further than the door. And, like, aside from that, it's not safe, but it's certainly not, like, particularly dangerous. And it is a dungeon so old and so consistent, so well mapped, that it is a very popular starter dungeon for adventurers, because it is, in a way that almost every other dungeon is not, it is a known quantity. Like, you know what's in the puzzle box. It's tricky to navigate, but you know what's there, ultimately. And the upper levels are all beasts, and it's like a really fertile area, so it's super easy to go through and get, like, food. Like, foraging is super easy on that top level. And beasts, while not being safe, are like one of the least dangerous types of monster. So it's like, yeah, no, if you want to get used to adventuring, you spend like a couple months on the upper level finishing quests, and when you feel ready, you either start going deeper into the puzzle box, or you go to a different dungeon, which is like less well explored. Because, you know, for all of the puzzle box is as safe as it is unprofitable at this point. Because most of the, like, really good stuff has been taken. So you either go down to the 3rd floor and try to find relics infused with shadow magic, which is super dangerous because if you accidentally look at the dungeon boss, it kills you so hard you can't come back. Or you go somewhere else and deal with the issues that come with a dungeon which is less of a known quantity, but likely has more loot that you can sell off for more money. Because the main source of loot in the puzzle box for like mid-level adventurers is information about a fictional conflict. Like one of the biggest things is on floor 2 in this giant catacombs. You can just like, if you use magic to detect it, will it know and start hunting you down? Not necessarily. It is a creature of shadow. It is hard to get any information on it from like divinations and such. So it is you can scry on it remotely. You get less information about that than you would other creatures. It is in some sense protected from it. But it is like it's riding the line of smart enough to know that it can't let adventurers survive, but also dumb enough not to be able to like put the pieces together of who is trying to scry on it, especially because it doesn't have to care. So it's one of those like, yeah. Like, very notably, the main reason that finding shadow-tainted relics from that lowest floor... No, it's not like that one SCP, sadly. No, the main reason that people are trying to get shadow-tainted relics from that floor is to understand the dungeon boss better. Because the reason the entire floor is twisted like that is because it lives there. And those shadow-tainted relics are, like, you know, offspring of it just kind of existing and being very magically active. People are studying these artifacts in an attempt to get more information about it, and that is the best way anyone has found to do that. Because there is always the option of going to physically investigate it. That could get you quite a bit of data. It could also get you very killed. And, like, adventurers die a lot more often than the average person. But the idea of permadeath is still, you know, not appealing. But yeah, you can do that, or you can study the traces it leaves behind in the form of these magical relics, most of which are just like wild shadow magic, but some of which are actually useful. Most of them are shit like the fucking rod of gibbering mouths. It's like, oh yeah, if you listen to it for long enough, you go insane. Have fun transporting this, it's worth 10,000 gold. Yeah, in Pathfinder 2E, there are a variety of means by which you can revive someone. Spells like resurrection and such require the body to be intact. There are more remote methods which do not require a body. They are also much less reliable. You can also resurrect someone as an undead, but that also requires the body. You can bring back a ghost, but ghosts don't like existing. it's one of those, like, the physicality of it is generally, like, you need to bring the spirit back into the body, is the general, like, accepted situation there. And the most notable deviation from that rule is also one of the most common ones, because in Dungeoneers of Croya, there is a magic item known as the Dungeoneer's Compass. Its primary function is, it is a normal compass, but it has an additional, like, hand on it that points in the direction of the nearest exit. So you can always follow it to a way out of the dungeon. You will never get lost on your way out. It will always put you to the nearest exit, though, which is not always the most accessible one. And the way it, like, detects that is by detecting microcurrent drafts in the area. Because dungeons are largely underground structures. And that means that they have, like, one or two entrances to the surface, from which all of the fresh air comes. The, like, secondary purpose of the Dungeoneer's Compass, however, is as, like, personal identification, effectively. It is such a useful item that everyone has one. It is part of the standard kit for a new Dungeoneer. So, a number of people have taken to effectively improving the magic within this compass and making it even more useful of a utility. So it has things like, yeah, no, this compass is capable of doing things like, hey, it displays your name and rank with the guild. Or it can, like, you can easily cast a cantrip to, like, figure out where it is for free, so you can always recover your compass. And one of the higher level, not higher, like, mid-tier options for that is, one of the improvements you can put on your compass is effectively to imprint, like, a little bit of your blood or whatever into it. And that will allow you to essentially be revived from only the compass. It counts as your body for the purpose of resurrecting you, which allows for much more consistent resurrection. And the compass is a lot more durable than most human bodies are. So it's like, yeah, no, this compass is effectively a dog tag. Except it can bring me back. And it's a lot more portable than, like, a full human corpse is. So one of the notable things is, if a adventuring group is, like, lost in a dungeon, other groups are encouraged to, like, look out for their bodies, and if they find the bodies of a bunch of adventurers, to take their compasses and note the location of the bodies, so they can take the compasses back to the surface, and either, if they have that revival option, bring them back there, or put up bounties for the retrieval of their corpses. Usually from a fund the adventurer already had made. But yeah, the Dungeoneer's Compass has that little, like, Gravedigger's rune that you can put on, where it's like, yeah, no, this'll identify your charred remains and allow you to come back. And that is the most notable exception to the rule of the most stable methods of resurrection require your body. And even then, it does that by just being your body, but easier to transport. Like, it is, yeah! It's like, for magical purposes, this is your body. You can be resurrected from this compass alone. Or, you know, your entire body. But, like, minimum requirement, compass. And yeah, that's just like a feature. That's just like a thing. Wow, that's a lot of fire. Thank you, my lady Pandora. That will help me survive the night, definitely. Jeez. Yeah. Aside from that, I think there are a few methods of resurrection that you can do without a body. You might be able to reincarnate someone without a body. I don't remember. But yeah, the main thing is just the most stable and cheap methods of resurrection require that you have a body to revive. The versions that don't require that are either less stable or much more expensive. Because it's like, yeah, you can technically do true resurrection on a single pinky finger, but you are also going to be paying materials costs for all of that, and that requires like 100,000 gold worth of diamonds or whatever. Or you at the lower level, who cannot afford 100,000 gold worth of diamonds, you get reincarnation, which druids cast instead of clerics. And it occasionally puts you in the wrong body. It'll put you in just a random ancestry body. It's like, god damn it, when I died I was an elf and now I'm a fucking dragon. I'm like a lizard person. What the fuck? Yeah, it's not like full dragon, it's like from the list of ancestries. So these are all like, technically speaking, they're equivalents, but like, you know. God, imagine if you were a racist dwarf and then you wake up in the body of an elf. If nothing else, it's a great way to teach a racist a lesson, but like, jeez. You'd be in hell. But yeah, no. Reincarnation is one of those, like... Yeah, it's a cheap option. This also means it's less than accurate. Or again, you can get brought back as, oh my god. Yeah, that would be fucking disorienting as all hell, if nothing else. But yeah, there are two ways to resurrect without a body, and that's typically poorly or expensively. Also in the category of poorly is being revived as an undead. That is its own bag of worms. But like in most cases, being an undead is, generally speaking, worse than being living. Just like as an experience. I don't know if you guys knew this, but being undead, generally speaking, is a curse. You gotta be cursed with that. And every undead character that I have ever, like, encountered outside of, I think, Geb from the Bloodlords campaign. Not the guy Geb. The guy Geb doesn't want to exist. But, like, all of the other undead characters in Geb. Aside from that module, like, every undead I have encountered, like, written officially, has not wanted to exist. I mean, I know there is at least one character who is, like, a sworn knight or whatever. It's like oath sworn to serve a king, who died a long time ago, but he still has an oath to this royal family that has since become, like, destitute, and he fucking hates now. It's like, I get to die if I am killed in honorable combat. I just need to wait for someone more experienced than me to turn up. But he's been alive for like 1,000 years and never been defeated in honorable combat in that time. It's like a level 20 character. Like, god damn it. It's like the general vibe of being undead is I've been alive for too long and I hate it. But like that's also an option. Fun fact, there is a whole necromancy culture in the setting of Kroya. If I remember, it is fully just called the Nation of Dead. Like, that's the name of it. And they have a kind of, like, true neutral perspective on undeath, where it's, like, an extension of being living to an extent. It's not necessarily like a natural part of life, but it is not abhorrent. Because they grew up in a big swamp. They grew up. The culture developed in a big swamp with natural negative energy wells. Which means that sometimes if things died, they came back as undead. And that's just like a thing you have to get used to. And as part of that, like, fact of life, they adapted to the presence of these negative energy wells. Notably, like, humans and such in that area are a little more resistant to negative energy. And also got pretty good at necromancy, because they have all of these really good models. It is a practice which is easily available to them. And in that culture, generally speaking, like, most of the dead get revived at some point. Usually as, like, relatively mindless laborers. Though those who are lucky enough to come out as more intelligent undead are, like, you know, respected ancestors, effectively. And it's a decently nice culture. But being undead is not treated as like an honorable thing. It's still recognized that it's like an unpleasant experience. Like your honored ancestor is making a sacrifice by being here for you. Nah. And like, of course, opinions change based on the individuals that you're talking to, in addition to the other aspects there. But it's like the general situation is like, yeah, the dead are experienced individuals. They are our honored ancestors, and they have made a great sacrifice to be here. Like they have dedicated themselves to the survival of our people, beyond even their own death and rest. So they are incredibly competent necromancers. They revive the dead typically as laborers, but also as scholars and such. And generally treat them as like honored ancestors, even when they are mindless undead. Like, notably, like, you will still have the laborer class undead in, like, decorated and painted up in, like, honorable styles and all that. Because even if their mind is not with us, they are still making the sacrifice to be here. Which I think is a cool take on being undead. It's also makes being undead a much more viable option for player characters. Because there is an entire society where it is basically expected that you're coming back after you die. Not necessarily in the same form, not necessarily in a pleasant way, but you will probably come back. And there is a whole class of necromancer who is like, yeah, I can do that for you. It's not going to be pleasant. You won't like it, but I can do that for you. And it is treated as like a respectable decision of like you are sticking around to aid the rest of society with your new capabilities and your old knowledge. So at least the fucking Deadites of the Kingdom of Dead, yes, that is what they're called. I wasn't feeling creative. At least they will respect you. There are other cultures who find the undead much more repulsive, and others who partake in stranger forms of ancestor worship, which do not typically have living ancestors or unliving ancestors. But you know. It's like there is a viable community there. Granted, there is also the issue of if someone's honored ancestor is like the last surviving remnant of their family. Because the situation with most of them is basically that their family members are making the sacrifices to keep them around. So if that's like a vampire, it is the family that is continuing to provide blood to sustain this creature. And if the family dies out, that vampire is going to get blood-starved and go mad. Because there isn't really anyone else willing to donate. You can find some people, maybe you'll find whatever, like X community or whatever, but they aren't common. So if the honored ancestors are the last members of their family line, they are often going to go neglected. This will result in them transforming into mindless or maddened undead. Or they will turn to the Dungeoneering Society. And they will end up spending a lot of time in dungeons until either they adapt to relying on, like, the magical essence of dungeons, or they find, like, an alternate source to feed on. Typically monsters. So there are a few, like, deadite vampires out there who almost exclusively prey on, like, the maddened dungeon-formed bandits that turn up in dungeons. And the attitude's kind of just, it's a living. Except it's fucking not. It's an unliving, but you know. It's one of those, like, weird, sad realities. It is another tragic backstory you can have in this setting. Where it's like, yes, I am the honored ancestor of such and such clan who was recently wiped out by a dungeon master who created a dungeon where my village used to be. I am one of the few who made it out. I have found a few donations of blood, but I am on the brink of madness all the time. Or, you know, like a skeleton that is awakened but quickly losing themselves because they don't have access to a lot of bones on the surface. And they're, like, resorting to shit like, oh yeah, I've been shoving animal bones in my torso to make sure that I don't fall all the way apart. That kind of shit. You know, revival in this setting. You better leave a goddamn body behind. Because if you don't, the options are bad. Even most of the undead options still require a body. If you want to come back as a ghost, you are feeling like one emotion forever. You're trapped in a single experience. And it's hell no matter what that experience is. Or, you know, you can briefly commune with the world from beyond the pale, via some flavor of necromancy or divination. But that is an inherently, like, temporary situation. Or there's the option of the Dungeon Masters. You don't want to take that one. Because the Dungeon Masters are the mad mages who create dungeons. Which are, just to remind everyone, massive, like, massive complexes, which are, like, larger on the inside, the size of small countries, entirely formed through magical means. The Dungeon Masters are the closest thing to gods this setting has. And the reason they make dungeons is for kind of their own entertainment. Because they enjoy watching the suffering happen. When they make deals with adventurers or others who are like looking for power, the terms of it are usually, I get to summon you anytime I want to beat up someone who has done nothing to you. To beat up an explicitly innocent person. It's, you get to be a mini-boss in my dungeon forever. Enjoy the power while you still have the will to do so. Because, you know, if you take a look over at the dungeon bosses that they create, like ex nihilo, you have the shadow elemental physically bound to a mask, which is so distressing for it to have that it will kill anyone who looks at it. Because it is so ashamed at the concept of its own identity. And that's a thing that a dungeon master created from basically thin air. Imagine what they do to a person with hopes and dreams. So it's another entry in the list of there's options. Because, yeah, they are perfectly capable of reviving the dead without a body. They do not need more than a flick of the wrist to do so. The problem is, the price that you're paying for that is not, like, gold. It is sacrificing your free will. It is, you better hope that revenge is worth it, because you are entering into an eternity deal to torture people who do not deserve it. Monster that melts your cells slowly. Yeah. The dungeon masters are not good people. This is definitional to them existing how they do. Now, granted, one of the, like, explanations for why the dungeon masters act how they do is also because they are well aware that all of reality is a tabletop game. So they're like, oh yeah, none of these people matter because they are lines of text on a book of a cosmic god. Everyone who is enjoying this story is watching it from the outside, and they explicitly want their heroes to suffer. So they sit around like, okay, if that's what you want, I can facilitate it. And of course, they're interested in satisfying our desires because they know that if they're not interesting enough, they get written out of the story. Which is true. I will fully just stop including them if people stop finding them interesting. And that is the literal hell of the dungeon masters. So they're gonna keep going how they're going, and they're gonna keep enjoying it. Yeah, Tabs? Howdy, by the way. The point is you don't mind your character getting hurt. The point is you're sitting here wanting it. And there are beings inside of the story who sit here knowing that that's what you want and are happy to facilitate it. Meaning that it is literally your fault that your character gets hurt. Face to face, they are looking you in the eyes and going, "You wanted them to hurt. I'm going to make them hurt for you." It is a horde of, like, omniscient, omnipotent beings who sit here like, "No, you wanted them to hurt, didn't you? Didn't you want this?" And you'll say yes, and you'll thank me when the session's over. Heart. The Dungeon Masters are my favorite villains because they are me very explicitly going, yes, this is something that we have all agreed to and want, and I am going to make you regret the fact that you wanted it. They're the living embodiment of me saying, if that's what you want, or are you sure? Every single one of those bastards has the exact same shit-eating grin that I do every time I am running a campaign. They're the most meta creatures in existence. I hate them so much, and I love them dearly. Ooh. Sorry, every time I like explain the deep lore about the dungeon masters and such, I get a little giddy. They're so fun. I very thoroughly enjoy using and playing these characters. Oh, sick. Portable stove. I mean, we can do some cooking. I don't have a lot to cook, but it's a beautiful night. Oh, by the way, I do have some fun plans for future sessions and campaigns. Because I use the Dungeon Masters as the villains in every campaign. And notably, what I want to do is find little like music tracks, like easily loopable stuff, that I can start playing when one of the dungeon masters shows up. So it's like a leitmotif. Leitmotif? One of them. So I can just kind of tap the traumatize my players button whenever I would like. And it's like, god damn it. It's that bitch again. Because every single one of them has their own flavor of fuck you that they deliver. Fucking right? Hi, Digi. The Dungeon Masters also facilitate some other interesting gameplay things, like the fact that they are, like, interdimensional. They exist in all of my campaigns, and they remember all of the other ones as they happen. So they are up to date on the lore. And, like, notably, this means that you can do things like say the full name of any character from any of my other campaigns to summon them. How does your character know this full name? Do we need to cover that? Heart emoji. If you want to make a deal with the Dungeon Masters, you gotta break some rules. And if you want to see your precious little Blorbo, then maybe your character just knows something. Gun emoji. If you want to see your precious little Blorbo again, you're gonna have to metagame, and we're gonna talk about the implications. Because I'm sitting here talking about this rule in an out-of-character sense. Can y'all hear that fucking loud-ass beeping outside? That sucks. I am talking about this rule of, like, invoking characters from other campaigns in a meta sense. This is not a thing that I talk about when I sit down at, like, session 0. You have to metagame to be aware of it. You have to metagame to use the rule. You have to metagame your characters knowing the names of these other characters. And you pay the price for all of it. Because if you want extra help from beyond space and time, well, I'm perfectly content to let you have it. Huh. I think I just got a work call? I couldn't... I felt my phone vibrating, and then it stopped vibrating. Yeah, if anyone wants to risk it all to summon a gnome with a gun. You can also find that, Roldan Whitecrest. It stares directly at the camera. is a character who has become well aware of the various implications of invoking the help of the dungeon masters. Heart emoji, heart spam. Waiting for the stream delay and Pirate to finish typing so I can see that beautiful fuck you in the chat. For those unaware, Hurlden Whitecrest is a particularly notable character from several campaigns who is also interdimensional for inexplicable reasons. And that is me dropping some canon lore about several of my campaigns. Heart emoji. You do have to be in a game to ask that question, though, I hate to tell you. And you also get Hurlden however he turns up at the time. Heart emoji. Heart spam. Don't worry, Hurlden's also a character in at least 2 other campaigns I'm running. The Whitecrest family is infamous. We can change that, Digi. I hope I accurately conveyed the edge of danger in my voice when I said that. That sounds like 2 parts of you want to have that changed. That's 2/3, baby. Heart spam, heart spam, heart spam. Anyway. It is also a topic for later, but I am probably going to be running the puzzle box in the relatively near future, and I don't think I have a full party for that, so... I didn't notice that. How long was that going off behind me? Yeah, no, I'm gonna be attempting to kidnap Pyrite, Liminal, and Ray into that game. I don't know how excited Ray will be for that, like, mechanically speaking, but, you know. I mean, Ray is perfectly capable of thriving in the rules-heavy campaign. It's more just like the emotional investment of it. They can get really competent with some of the rules. It's really just about whether or not they believe they can do that. you know? This is almost at the top. Thank you, Pandora. I will make it far today for you, my lady of chaos. Anyway. To be a little less dramatic. Hey, look, it's the first pickaxe I've seen this climb. I mean, there was probably more, I just didn't see them. Pandora, my beloved. Yeah, no, I need to get a dungeoneering campaign started soonish. Because the sooner I can get it off the ground and get all of the mechanics figured out, the sooner I can put even more work into it, and maybe even make a book of these rules, of these alternate rules, with like some dungeons included. Because once you have all the setup done, it's actually like it's pretty easy to run, and I think you could run a dungeoneering game without a GM. But it's one of those, you have to do all of the prep first. Okay. Guys, I love all of you very much. But we're 2 hours in, I need to take 5. I will be back. Okay, that was a little longer than I intended. I doubled my estimation there. I took 10 instead of 5. I did watch some TikToks. I also tried to listen to that voicemail I got. Incomprehensible. They said they are someone from somewhere. Wasn't really able to make out the rest. So I think I'll probably ignore it. I don't know what to do there. Like, anyway. Betrayal. Damn. I'm very sorry. My good friend Pyrite. However, will I make it up to you? Someone from somewhere, they're my favorite species. Well, they asked me to call back, is the thing, but the number was not easy to understand. I would assume it's to call back the number that called me. Wow, I can't believe we're being called obscure British slurs for Americans. I can't believe Pyrite is coming up in the chat and calling me Yankee Doodle. Somehow this is racist against me. I'm a victim here. Okay. This time, I promise I will not tempt fate nearly as hard. I will probably still tempt fate, though. Because the Caldera is still, like, easy. It's cheap shit. Okay, yeah, that's on me. Still though, Caldera. Easy as hell. People have a tendency to overestimate the Caldera. Just because it is large and full of lava. Like, it's not nothing. It's not walking through an open field. You do have to, like, pace yourself. You have to do shit here. But, like, for its place in the game, easy. Soul's biggest obstacle in the Caldera, hubris. Yes. It's one of, you have to take it seriously. You don't need to be scared of it. You know, that's my thing with the Caldera. Because it always feels like there is someone who's like a little panicky or whatever, because they're looking around, they're seeing fire and lava, and they're like, oh my god, I'm gonna die here. This is literal hell from the Bible. And I'm just out here like, no, it's a level. It's a level in a game. it is even a little below the difficulty curve of where it should be in that game. Yeah, in the same way that the second biome is a little above the difficulty curve pretty universally. Ah, probably fine. Like, both the tropics and the roots, I feel, are a little above the difficulty curve for the second biome. And I feel like Caldera is a little below it. Like, you need a bit more here. Because, like, when I die in the Caldera, it is almost always because I was being stupid, and not because there was like a challenge put out by the game here, you know? Like, it's not the obstacles in my way or anything. It's just, yeah, I didn't pay attention to how much stamina I had before I made the jump. That's on me. I don't need that. Pandora! Okay. My sweet, my love. Where hath ye been? I missed ye so. Meeting time, stepping away. Alright, you have a good one, Digi. Bleh. I'm still mentally trying to figure out what that call was from. It's gonna be stuck in my head for a while. I'm just realizing I got 2 new notifications. I'm checking my fucking Discord DMs on during the thing. God damn it. Sorry, you can tell my attention is starting to wane. After 2 hours, 20 minutes of streaming. More than typical. I think just because I had a long shore in there. And yeah, I am a little tired. Sorry, I'm just out here telling one of my farmers that the reason I expanded our guild's claim so far to the north was so they specifically could do a shitload of farming. Which I probably should have waited to the spring for, but you know. Alright, immediately using up all my bonus stamina. Good start. Love the prospectors, by the way. Solid group of people. Max is such a respectable farmer. The man is insane. Heart emoji. I mean this in the best way possible. The man is insane. It's what you want to do. Yeah. You like having a community you respect. And also the guy who created 34 pink marble statues. Just entirely faceless statues. Meant to be sort of idols to Minecraft Steve. And scattered them across the nearby faction bases. I don't know why he did that, but it's their right, I guess. Okay, this is immediately going poorly. Oh, fuck me. Okay, not that fast. Good. Love an insane farmer. Max is the person who made 84 stacks of farmland over in the old server, the old world, and used all of that to plant flax. No one ever needed cloth again. There was not one damaged piece of clothing in the whole place. Whole server, really. Linen was free. Market destroyed. Huh. You know, y'all, this really ain't looking good. Alright. Well, looks like... Yeah, no, it's not going great. I'm sorry, what exploded there? Was that the flare? Was that the flare exploding? Anyway, you have a good day too, Digi. I would like to thank everybody who tuned in. Thank you for watching today's Daily Peek. And I will see all of you guys tomorrow. Bye. Bleh. Probably. It has to be the flare. Because if it was Pandora's box, it would have been way too late.